Hello everyone, welcome back to Twilight Tales. If you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoy stories that keep you awake at night. Tonight, I have a chilling story for you. A story that's been whispered from generation to generation. Sit back, dim the lights, and listen closely to the tale of the cursed woman of the village. Once upon a time, hidden beyond the fog-choked mountains, there was a village so remote that maps forgot it existed. This village was called Durnham Hollow, and for good reason. The fog was not the only thing that hung over it. An ancient curse lived there, tied to the name of one woman, Elara. The villagers spoke her name only in hushed tones, if at all. It was said that Elara had once been the village healer, a woman of strange talents, gifted with herbs and potions that could cure any ailment. Her beauty was as famous as her knowledge: dark hair that shimmered like raven wings, eyes as sharp, silver that seemed almost unnatural. Men admired her, women envied her, and the elders, they feared her. But it was not fear of her beauty or her skills that cursed the village. It was what happened one bitter winter when crops failed and sickness spread like wildfire. The villagers, desperate and half-mad from hunger and loss, turned their suspicion on Elara. They accused her of witchcraft, of consorting with the devil himself. They dragged her from her modest cottage, through the snow, beating and cursing her the entire way. Elara screamed and cried, but no one listened. They tied her to the ancient tree at the center of the village, the god tree they called it, and set it aflame, condemning her to the purifying fire. Her last words, howled into the night like a wounded wolf, were not pleas for mercy, but a curse. As you have burned me, so shall your blood burn. Your children shall never know peace, and your nights shall belong to me. The fire crackled, and Elara's body turned to ash. Her voice, though, lingered long after the flames died out, riding on the winds that howled through Durnham Hollow. At first, nothing happened. The villagers rebuilt, the sick were buried, and life went on. But on the first anniversary of Elara's death, the horror began. Children disappeared into the woods, never to be seen again. Livestock were found mutilated, entrails strung from tree to tree like gruesome garlands. Strange symbols burned into doors and barn walls, oozed black tar-like blood that no prayer could cleanse. Worse still, villagers claimed to see Elara, or something wearing her face, standing at the edges of the forest, watching. Always watching. Time passed. The village tried to bury its history, but some things refused to stay buried. Decades later, the hollow was all but abandoned. Only a handful of stubborn families remained, too proud or too afraid to leave. Among them was the Greaves family, who lived in the crumbling manor at the village's edge. Jonathan Greaves, the patriarch, was a bitter man who scoffed at the old legends. His daughter Amelia was much more sensitive. She often woke at night swearing she heard a woman's laughter in the halls, cold fingers brushing her skin. Jonathan laughed off her fears until the night he saw Elara himself. It was a night of heavy storms. The rain came down in sheets and the thunder shook the bones of the earth. Amelia had gone missing after dinner. Jonathan, filled with rage and panic, scoured the house. Then he saw her, a woman standing at the top of the stairs soaking wet, silver eyes gleaming in the darkness. "Elara," he whispered before he even knew he had spoken. The figure smiled, a twisted, mocking smile. Jonathan raced up the stairs with a roaring shout, but she vanished, into mist before his eyes. Only Amelia's shrill scream echoed from the attic above. When he found her, she was curled into a ball, whispering nonsensical phrases, her hair gone stark white. She never spoke again. After that, the Greaves family abandoned the manor, and Durnham Hollow became truly deserted. Almost years later, a group of urban explorers, those thrill-seekers who hunt for haunted places to film and post online, stumbled upon the forgotten village. Among them was a man named Kyle, whose channel Urban Shadows had a decent following. They thought the legends were perfect clickbait. The team consisted of Kyle, his girlfriend Marissa, their tech guy Evan, and a skeptic named Dean. They arrived in late afternoon, armed with flashlights, cameras, and overconfidence. They laughed as they filmed the decaying cottages, the tangled woods. They joked about witches and curses and dared each other to spend the night in the Greaves manor. When the sun dipped below the mountains and darkness swallowed the village, the laughter died. The woods came alive with noises, not the normal creaks and rustles, but whispers, sighs, and low, wet sounds like something dragging itself through the mud. Their flashlights flickered and failed one by one, as if something were draining the very life from them. In the manor, the air was thick, cloying. It smelled of burnt wood and old blood. They set up their cameras, laughing nervously, trying to keep the fear at bay. Evan was the first to disappear. 1 second he was in the room, setting up his equipment, and the next he was gone, his gear lying scattered on the dusty floor. They searched frantically, calling his name, but the only response was laughter, a high, broken cackle that seemed to come from every direction. Dean insisted it was a prank, that Evan was messing with them. He stormed off to find him alone. Marissa and Kyle waited, clinging to each other, jumping at every creak of the old wood. Hours passed. Dean didn't come back. Evan didn't come back, and then came the knocking. First it was soft, like fingernails, against the window pane. Then harder. Then a hammering, frantic and violent from all sides at once. They couldn't tell if it was fists or something far worse. The windows bulged inward as if the glass was breathing. Kyle grabbed Marissa's hand and pulled her into the attic, the one place where legend said Elara was strongest. They found an old trapdoor leading to a hidden crawlspace. They hid there, shivering in the dark. That's when they heard the singing. A soft, lilting lullaby, sung in a voice that was both beautiful and utterly wrong. Marissa's eyes rolled back in her head, and she began to crawl toward the trapdoor, smiling dreamily. Kyle tried to hold her back, but she was impossibly strong. She looked at him with blank white eyes and whispered, "She's waiting." Before he could stop her, she slipped out into the attic. The singing grew louder. Kyle waited, holding his breath, hearing footsteps shuffle closer and closer. The trapdoor creaked open, and Marissa's face appeared, or what was left of it. Her skin was blackened and burned, her mouth twisted into a grotesque grin. Behind her, Elara rose, her body a shifting mass of ash and bone, her silver eyes burning brighter than the storm outside. She reached for Kyle with hands that ended in claws. Kyle screamed as he was dragged out of the crawlspace. The footage from their cameras was found months later, half buried in the mud near the hollow's edge. The authorities claimed it was just a tragic case of lost hikers who got caught in the elements. But those who watch the footage say otherwise. They say you can hear a woman laughing in the background, and if you look closely, in the corner of the screen, you'll see silver eyes watching, waiting. And every year on the anniversary of Elara's death, new footage appears. Fresh recordings showing terrified faces, desperate screams, and always that same silver-eyed woman walking among the ruins. Some say she's still gathering souls, still feeding her curse, still making the villagers of Durnham Hollow pay for what they did. So if you ever find yourself wandering near the forgotten places and you hear a woman singing in the fog, run. Run as fast as you can and never look back, because if you do, she'll follow you home. Thanks for listening to tonight's story. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share Twilight Tales. And remember, some stories are more than just stories. Sweet dreams if you can.